Thanks. This is Pink Frog Yellow Boots from Behavior, working towards achieving holistic health for everybody. Trauma bonding, a bond that is developed between an abuser and the victim. To be more precise, when the victim of an abuse develops emotional bonding with the abuser, it is called trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is unidirectional in nature, usually, where the victim is the sole person who develops emotional connection with the abuser. It can be in any form of relationship, be it child and caregiver, where the caregiver abuses the child, also an employee and employee, where the employee abuses the employee. It can be between two couples, partners, where one is the abuser or one is the person who takes advantage and harms the mental health, physical health, emotional health of the another individual involved. To have a clear idea why trauma bondings happen, we can see the nature of the bonding, where the abuser is breadcrumbing the victim. That is, the abuser from time to time pays attention to the victim, provides care, support, affection, shows concern towards the victim, which in turn makes the victim see things in a different light than just from the point of being abused and put through a lot of torture. Stockholm Syndrome is one example of trauma bonding, where the kidnapper and the person kidnapped are abuser and victim respectively. While the abuser is taking care, that is, providing for food or bare minimum necessities to survive for the victim, and thus the victim gradually starts to feel that the abuser has their own reasons for doing what they are doing and are in general not a bad person. However, while doing this, they are also showing that they are trying to cope with the situation where they feel helpless of being kidnapped and see no way out of it. Apart from this, most of the trauma bondings, the abuser and the victim may be related in some form or another, where the victim, even though being abused, is also taken care of and has nowhere else to look for help to get out of it. Thus, their brain kicks in the mechanism where they start feeling sympathy towards the abuser while neglecting all that they are going through. In a trauma bond, you can see a victim justifying the actions of an abuser, hiding it from people who might confront them, or in general, seeing it as the only way to live, a cycle of dependency, power struggle, where the abuser has the most power while the victim is usually dependent. Also, there are times when the victim starts to see the abuser as a victim of other things and wants to save the abuser from it by being at the service or catering to their needs of abuse. However, that is not possible. Majority of the time, there is no solution to a trauma bonding turning into a healthy relationship. The constant cycle of love bombing and breadcrumbing, manipulation, abuse is a proof that there is going to be no change in the pattern or the dynamics of the relationship. Also, there is nobody outside who would save you. A person has to put in their own effort and choose to be saved. So, thinking that a trauma bond will change into a healthy relationship is by far wishful thinking. To note that a person who is being abused is in itself not able to save themselves but are trying to cater to another person while going through abuse is credible enough to show that they are not capable of saving another person. Seeing it as kindness, concern, love, affection for the abuser is also a trick of the mind to put the person providing that support in a place of power, because the whole dynamics of a trauma bonding is that the abuser has the maximum power over victim while the victim is completely dependent and powerless in the situation. Emotions like hopelessness, grief, confusion, overwhelming emotions, sense of loyalty toward the abuser are usually triggered during trauma bonding with many others that can be seen depending on the individuals involved. When trying to move out of a trauma bond, it is important to realize that the best way is to separate yourself from your abuser or separate the abuser and the victim. Having a healthy support network, and the easier it seems to say that it is simple and it would work out to break free from a trauma bonding, it's equally difficult when a person has to put that into effect. So, conscious, consistent, willing effort to break through, to realize the pattern, to see what is actually happening in a rational light is important. Journaling day to day events and trying to figure out a pattern will help. Reaching out to form healthier bonds will help. Constant effort to work out the emotions that are developed during the bonding will help. Reaching out to a professional is by far the best method to realize what is happening and how to deal with it. Thus, trauma bonding, a bond between abuser and the victim, where the victim develops emotional bonding with the abuser and tries to save them and not see how they are suffering, is emotionally, mentally, and physically traumatizing, draining, and can be overcome through help from professionals and people close to you who can provide you with a healthier, helpful, supportive bond. Being with the abuser is not an answer to it. Trying to save the abuser is not a healthier manner to deal with it. Have a safe week ahead. Take care.